Hello, this is Mark. Video number 13. I'm hoping this will allow us to get to the point to where we can order the board. Again, as you open these files, remember, always start there and then open it from here. If we don't, we're going to get ourselves in trouble. And we're really close on this board at this point. I could order it this way, but there's some things that'll make life way easier for us later if we make them changes. And then the other thing is, I've got some extra pins on the processor and I've got some space, and you cannot tack wires onto things on the side on the pins that aren't going someplace. And I've got this space up here, which is empty. And I've got these processor pins, which are also unused. So I can actually use those. And if nothing else, we'll just put a connector in there or something where I can reach these pins. So, this ground trace is in the way for doing that. But let me go back here and look. And I think we can get like 5 of these data lines. You got these pins 28 through 32. They're not used, and on the schematic, 28 through 32 are just GPIO lines. So that's really easy for us to do something with. So what I want to do is I want to throw a connector in here and then squeeze it in. And I think I can do a 6-pin connector with one of them to be ground. That's always kind of convenient if you're going to do a connector, is make sure it's got at least one ground on there. And so I want to put a connector in here. I haven't got room for a 6-pin. I'll bet I do. This R1 may be in the way unless I do a really small connector. Odds are that I may not even use those pins. Let me just do a small connector instead. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a generic pin header. Connector generic, we're said 6-pin. We're going to go for this. And let me just set it down here for the moment. Okay. And then I want, not that. Okay. So I need to assign a footprint to it right away. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to assign what pin goes to what after the fact, because it makes it a little easier. So I want to assign a footprint. Here's our connector, and I want connector pin header. Now the 2.54 millimeter 10th inch is going to be way too big for what we want. I'm going to do 0.05, which is the 1.27 millimeter. So we're going to do that. 1.25. Let me slide that over so you can see it. This is a 6-pin vertical. Okay, we'll do that one. So it should be really small. Okay, so we're going to save this. I'm going to go back to the layout, and then I'm going to say update layout from schematic, update, and close. And it gave us this. This is what I want to put in here. And you can see that the ground trace is in the wrong spot. So let me just zoom this in just a little bit. Okay, let me get us into here a little more. Okay. So I want it to go in here, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do that without doing anything. We're going to go right up to the top. I guess I want to come over here a ways. Yeah, I know R1 is in a bad spot too. We're going to have to move that. And the other thing is, I wanted one of these pins ground. This is a ground trace. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take pin 1 and make it ground. And that way I'll just take this trace. I'll take it out for the moment, but then I'll run the trace up through here and then back down to make it the ground. And that'll let us get through there okay. You can't run traces between these pins. They're just too close. And then I can sit here and decide which trace goes where on the rest of this. So, okay, that fits there. I need to get this resistor down a little further. So let me just move this a little bit. Let me let me just delete a few traces. And this 3.3 volt, I can slide it over here as close as I can. It'll eventually complain. And then I'm going to take this resistor. I better delete this trace because I don't want to cursor on it, say move. And I want to get it down. I want to see if I'd like to go clear down to here. No, just to be safe, I'm going to delete this via off also. Let me delete this one. And these traces are now in the way. They're not good enough. And I'm going to just delete a couple of these and then just put them back in. Because there's space, I just didn't put it that tight before. So now I can come back in here, do a trace, 6 mil. And this one is going to, I really wanted to get it clear as close to the edge as possible. And I mean, it keeps us from going too close. So, I mean, you know, it's within the design spec. So now this has lots of room. Okay, so that's fine. Now the 3.3, I'm going to use 28 through 32. So 27 still says not connected, so I don't have to worry about getting it out. That doesn't really matter because this will just fit just fine. Okay, I need the via. Okay, can I get a via in there? Let's go take this down to here. I want a via. It says I can do it. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're back to 0 unrouted because we haven't set any pins here. I want pin 1 ground and I want pin 6 to be connecting to, I want these in order so the traces don't have to cross. And if I do 6 to pin 28, that'll be good. I just have to remember those two things. Okay, so I need pin 1 to ground. So let me just do that. Duplicate a ground. I want to put it out here because I want to put those labels in there. And I want pin 28 let me go back and look again. I just want to make sure we get this right. Oops. No, I don't want that. I want pin 6 to pin 28. Okay, that is indeed what I want. So pin 28 is GPIO 17, or 20, yeah, 17. So let me go back up here. Let me delete off the no connect symbols. I got 5 of them. And I want to duplicate these. So I want this, but this is going to be now, that's GPIO 17. This is 18. So GPIO 17 has got to go to pin 6. Let me just do that before I forget everything. So let me just duplicate the 17 and just put it right on the pin 6. There's 18. It's going to go in order. $19. Oops. This is 20. And this is 21. Okay, so, and I need those copied across. There's 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and ground. Okay, so there's that connector. Everything's in place. I should be able to save this, go back to the layout, and say update from schematic, close this, and now I've got all these different symbols up here. Okay, this we know needs to go, this ground trace. There seems to be pieces there. Okay, so I want to do a heavy ground trace. Now remember, this connector is on both sides, goes through the board, so we're up at the top, and so let's do a bigger trace for that. Let's go for that's got to be more than 12. We'll do the 12. We'll see what that does. Okay, so I want to trace from this, and I want to stay fairly low, like that. Now all these other traces will come in from the other side, so I don't have really much of a space limitation here. Okay, so now my ground is reconnected, so I've only got the 5 data lines, which are going to be trivial. Because they're all right in the open. So this one comes straight up, and these will come, you know, it's just going to be easy. So we can just go in here, and we can take this one, and I want to keep a little ways over, but I don't need to be too far. And getting it to put the traces where you want them is, sometimes you get things like that. I know I don't want to go jumping down there like that. So sometimes you just click it early, and then that helps. And that is all we need. No, I want you to go this way first. It wants to do that. Oh, it's going to go. Okay. Okay, back to 0 unrouted. Okay, so that takes care of that piece. So now I've added an extra connector. I can now solder to these pins if I want. I've actually got these connectors in my stock if I want to actually solder one in, but you know, it gives me options. Now we've still got this space down here, and again, you know, if I don't use it, I lose it. I've got 3 pins that are not used, and there's a ground right there. If I just do a 4-pin connector, I can use these 3 pins and a ground. So let's just do the same thing again. And these are pins 16, 17, and 18. So let me put in a 4-pin connector, same size. So let me put in a connector generic 4-pin and say okay. And 16, 17, and 18 are right here. 27 we didn't use. That's okay. So let me go ahead and do those right at the moment because I'm here. And again, there's actually a faster way of putting these labels on here. And I've done it before, but I'm just going to be lazy here. Okay, there's 13, 14, and 15. And a ground. Okay, so let me grab those. Can I just grab them as a block? No. Okay, let me just do them separately. And just put them close. Until I figure out where I want. And I needed ground down there too. Okay, so let me go back over here. And the ground is going to be on the top, and that's pin 1. And if I put pin 1 to the top, I'm going to make pin 1 ground again. That just makes it easy. And then pin 2 is going to be the next one, which is 18. whatever pin 18 was. Pin 18 is GPIO 15. So it's going to be ground and then 15, 14, 13. So ground 15, 14, 13. Okay, so I want 15 up on top. Ground first, 15, 14, 13, ground. Okay. Oh, we need to assign a package, otherwise it's going to get hostile with us. Assign a footprint. That connector pin header, again, we're going to go for the 1.27 millimeter. This is a 4-pin. I know the text is really small on this. I'll see if I can make a list out of this when I'm done, in so everybody can see exactly which ones I'm using. Okay. Pin header vertical 1.27. Okay. So that's there. Let me go back, zoom that full size. That should be good. I should be able to save this, go to the PC board, and then I want to update PC board from this. No errors, no warnings, close. Okay, and so now I've got this. This goes in here. Now this ground trace is in the way again. So let me just delete this off. And I know that I want to move this guy now. Move. And I want it to fit in here. And you can see that there's plenty of room for it. I mean, the purple lines are the kind of keep out lines. But now we're in pretty good shape. So, okay, so I need this ground to connect in, and usually probably a pretty good trace, and then we should be good. I need to move, let's move this label. It's going to complain about that. This is still Y1, and if I move it down a little bit, we can still see it. C4 label is in a bad spot. I want to move that. There isn't a good spot for that. It's going to be probably too close to the edge, and I'm going to get a warning message if I do that. I bet I can get it this way. The J5, I can move that over there. Okay. So now I need traces. If I connect this ground to here, I think that'll probably be really good, and I need a small trace to go to that. So let's start with the 6 mil trace. We need this ground to go to there. And then I need this one to go to there. And I'm going to make a bigger trace. I'm going to go back up to 12 because I can do that. No, I want 12. One of these days got to figure out the default trace widths. Okay, so the ground's back in place. I've only got 3 unrouted, which are these 3. Now back to 6 mil. And these will be easy. This is just get it there. I got to kind of watch out how it comes out, because if it doesn't come out well, I want to come out as far as I can. I'm not sure I like that little kink in there, but I'm not going to fight it. Okay. Okay, we'll clean it up. Okay, 0 unrouted. Everything should be good to go. I can run a design rule check, and it's going to give me some silkscreen errors. Errors. Hole clearance violations. Oh, that's the USB connector. And those, I don't know why it likes the, I need to change a clearance thing in there. I suppose I could move them a smidge further away. I said board edge clearance of 1 point is just a smidge too close. You know, we're at a spot where we can easily fix that and get rid of that error. Let me just delete markers, close. Let me get rid of these. I want it to work well. Sometimes it's easier just to delete the things and then move them. I know there's a little piece of a trace in there by the way that looks. That's better. Okay, so now I can just move these down. And I just have to make those not touch. Okay. So now I can put these lines back in. Trace. We can make them bigger. And these others can be small because there's really not much current for an LED. Okay. Let me move that up just so it doesn't touch. Now let me rerun the design rule check. That errors should be gone. 5 errors. Okay, I still got the ones from those. Track unconnected end. Let's go back and zoom in on that. And let's find out where that is. There is a piece of a track. Right, there it is. And we'll delete it. Silk screen chopped by board edge, that's fine. Silk screen overlap, that's fine. Delete markers, close. Now, I'm going to stop here, but there's one more thing that we have to do, and we'll catch that in the next video.